What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we have an in-depth comparison between the Forge and the Forge Flare. Stay tuned after the intro. So the Forge and the Forge Flare are two of Motiv's strongest solid symmetrical bowling balls. Both of them feature the detonator weight block, which has an RG of 2.47 and a differential of 0.055 in 15 pounds. So what that means for both of these bowling balls is that the core in both of them wants to get into a roll very early because of that very low RG. And then because the differential is very high, it's going to produce a lot of flare, and more flare means more hook. So both of these bowling balls have a very high hook potential. If you guys like this video, make sure to give me a like, a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date every time I drop a new video. And if you like this jersey or any of the jerseys in any of my videos, you can head on over to logoinfusion.com, use my promo code Lewis, and it'll get you 20% off your entire order. Okay, so the Forge and the Forge Flare both have the same core, so what makes them different? We're gonna start with the Forge. The Forge has the Coercion high friction solid cover, which comes out of box at a 3000 laser scan sand. And for this video, both the Forge and the Forge Flare are going to be finished at a 3000 finish so that we can see what the differences are. For me, the Forge was always that like big rolly, early rolling ball. Like to keep my angles more shut down because the ball likes to get into a roll pretty early and doesn't hook a ton down lane just because of how strong that cover is. And then we have the Forge Flare, and man, it is hilarious how much stronger the Forge Flare is than pretty much anything else we have. The cover on the Forge Flare is the Coercion MXC solid cover, which stands for maximum continuation. And whatever they put in this cover, it is crazy, like mind-boggling. This ball, just like the Forge, gets into a roll very early. It's a very strong ball, but where the Forge likes to not shape down lane, this Forge Flare shapes a ton down lane. So whatever additive they added into that Coercion, I mean, it is insane. Like I said, the Forge is that typical big rolling ball that you want to keep your angles in front of you. And then the Forge Flare said, yeah, we do all that, plus we shape down lane. It is, I mean, like I said, it's crazy. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense how strong the Forge Flare is up front with how much shape it produces down lane. Now, I'm not saying that the Flare is 10 times better than the Forge. There's still certain situations where you want to be in the Forge when you want to keep your angles a little bit more shut down in front of you. But man, if you want to see that ball get into a roll and shape down lane like you've never seen before, the Flare is the ball. I'm going to take you guys on the lanes now so you can see the Forge and the Forge Flare in action. Let me know down below in the comments if you have a Forge in your bag and if you're considering ordering a Forge Flare. Thank you guys for joining me for this in-depth comparison between the Forge and the Forge Flare. Now, as always, I'm going to show you every single shot that I threw in this session. Like I've always said, and I will continue to say, showing every single shot, the good ones and the bad, is the only way to show a true comparison between any amount of bowling balls. It's all too easy to make any ball look amazing if all I did was show the perfect strikes. Now, one of the first things that you may notice right away when going from the Flare to the Forge is that the layouts are different. The layout on the Forge is 45 by 4 by 70, which puts the pin under the bridge. And the layout on the Forge Flare is 50 by 5 by 20, which puts the pin a little bit higher over the ring finger. Now, typically, I wouldn't be doing a comparison between these two bowling balls with the layouts being this different, but I think it's actually hilarious when you think about the Forge being pinned down with a 4-inch pin. It's supposed to be stronger and earlier than the layout on the Flare being 50 by 5 by 20, but just by looking at it, you can clearly see that the Flare gets into a roll significantly earlier than the Forge, even though the Forge has a stronger layout and is drilled pin down. Traditional thinking is that pin down means early rolling, but the cover of the bowling ball is always going to dictate the motion that the ball creates. Even though both of these bowling balls are finished at a 3000 Avalon, the strength of the Forge Flare is so much stronger than the cover that's on the Forge, which is why it gets into a roll so much earlier and still produces significantly more back-end motion than the Forge. Now, I just want to say that I'm a really big fan of this original Forge. It's like the ultimate control ball for me on the higher volume patterns. you know exactly what it's going to do. It's going to get into a roll, and it's going to be very strong in the oil, and it's going to be very smooth on the back part of the lane. Now, when they made this forged flare, to me, it feels like they built everything that the forge did, but added that continuation in the back part of the lane. For me personally, I couldn't chase the original forge as far left. It would tend to roll really forward pretty fast as I chased it left. Now, for me, another really big thing between the forge and the forge flare is that the forge tend to lane shine pretty fast for me. But one thing that I'm noticing out of this forge flare is that it never lane shines. Like, I have like 15, 20 games on my flare, and it still looks as matte as it did right out of the box. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm bashing the forge by any means. I am a really big fan of the forge, and I still throw it a lot to this day. It's, if anything, it's more celebrating how far the cover technology has come with Motiv over the last 2 years. So the forge and the forge flare are both solid forged bowling balls. They both have a solid cover. They're both a forged, same core. But how much stronger the cover is on the forge flare as compared to the forge. It is impressive, the leaps and bounds that Motiv has made in their cover technology over the last couple of years. And I am so eager to see how much further we can push these limits of the covers of these bowling balls. So let's talk some of the differences between these two bowling balls. To start, on the fresh, I had the forge flare about 3 to 4 boards stronger, and as we progressed throughout the video, that number only grew because the forge flare allowed me to chase the ball into the pattern significantly faster than the forge did. Now, again, that's not me saying that the flare is better than the forge. It's because the cover is so much stronger on the flare than the forge. That is the reason why I had to chase it further left. There, like I said earlier in the video, there are some situations where I still prefer to throw the forge over the flare. As an example, if I was bowling on the shorter volume patterns, which is actually where I throw my forge the most, I think I would lean more towards the forge versus the flare, because when I'm bowling on short, I don't need that extra continuation down lane that the flare produces. When I'm bowling on short, I want the very smooth bowling balls, which is why I typically go towards the forge. Now, you all know how much I love talking about versatility, and when it comes to versatility, it is my opinion that the forge flare is the more versatile ball of the two. I've never seen a ball go down the lane that was as early as the forge flare and shaped down lane as much as the forge flare. So there are other balls out there that are as early as the forge flare, but not one of them produces the down lane motion that the flare does. So for me, what I like the most about the forge flare is that it produces that down lane motion. And what I like about the forge is just how smooth the ball is. For me, in my game, I absolutely match up to this detonator weight block. All 3 forges for me have been absolutely amazing, and I hope that we continue to produce more and more forges in the future. Let me know down below in the comments what other balls you would like to see me compare to the forge flare. I am for sure going to do the forge fire, and then I'm probably going to do the alpha jackal. Just all depends on what you all let me know down below in the comments. I'm also going to do the surface video on the forge flare. Well, there you have it, folks. There's my in-depth comparison between the forge and the forge flare. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought about this video, and if you want to see more ball comparisons like this in the future. Click right here to watch one of my older videos. Click right here to subscribe. Till next time, guys.